So now let's move on to our next session on the theme of designing a decarbonized urban future through behavioral change and technology. And this session is powered by Persefoni. So let's welcome our panelists onto the stage. Mr. Terry Tsai, Lime Japan Country Manager and Regional Director of Asia Pacific. Mr. Koichi Sakamoto, Persefoni Japan, Japan Country Manager. Now our moderator will be Ms. Saza, Switch founder. Thank you very much. So now, Ms. Saza, the stage is yours.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing? Good? Okay, I see that we have more of a Tokyo audience than expected. But today, thank you so much for making your time. Here, we're having a discussion about designing a decarbonized urban future through behavior change and technology. We have Terry sitting next to me from Lime. Thank you. And then we also have Koichi-san from Persefoni.
Hi, everyone.
Who will be doing the talk. So I just wanted to really quickly start off with an icebreaker. Who here believes your behavior change can actually decarbonize the city? I was wondering if you could join in with a raise of hands. Awesome. Okay, so we have a change maker mindset in the crowd. That's awesome to hear. Similar to us, so I'm hoping that we can have some discussions after the session as well as to see what kind of collaborations we can do for Tokyo and across the world for decarbonizing the urban sphere. Just to introduce the timetable, first we're just going to briefly introduce ourselves, a 10-minute introduction of each organization, and then we'll move on to a panel discussion before we finish the session in 45 minutes, very briefly, so hope we can all have a chat later on as well. All right, without further ado, I'd like to introduce about myself, especially since the slide's already up, so I don't think I have a way around it, and then we'll move on to Terry and then Koichi-san as well. Awesome. Alrighty, so a little bit about Switch. I'm not sure if everyone knows Switch. No? Awesome, great. That's a great way to introduce our crowd and see how well my communication skills is at this point. So my name is Mana. I'm the founder of Switch. We're an MPO that just started 5 years ago, so we're very brand new. Mainly we're working in green education. So I've lived in Japan my whole life. I went to an international school, studied abroad in Canada and London for my master's, and then came back to Japan. So it's really great to see that the startup scene is increasing slowly, but gradually in Tokyo as well. So at Switch, our mission is to unite public and private sectors to empower youth to live within the 1.5 degrees milestone. So as you know, we're always discussing about how do we meet this 1.5 degrees within the B2B and B2C, but youth tend to be out of the dialogue all in all, whether it be in Japan, but also global. So how do we make this into an intergenerational dialogue is our mission. Mainly we have 3 pillars that we're working on. First is to green education. As you may know, some of you may have children as well, but most of the schools do not really talk about climate change. Even if they do, they talk about, oh, climate change is an issue. But they don't necessarily teach children how to become the change makers within their in their lifetime. So we're trying to green the education sector here. Secondly, even if we do increase the amount of climate literate individuals, the problem is that if these children do not choose to go into the green sector, then it's such a waste of teaching them. So we do a bridging between the universities as well as corporates to make sure that these youth choose a job within the green sector for their future. Thirdly, we work on greening the urban community. So some of you may know Shibuya. Has anyone of you been to Shibuya yet today? Or maybe not? Okay, that's good to know. Some show of hands that have been to Shibuya. So we're actually located in the building of Shibuya Sky. And as you know, Shibuya is a bustling city, but it's more or less about consumption. And you don't really see that much green. So as an organization, we're trying to bring together local governments as well as business sectors to make sure that Shibuya becomes a green hub. So we're actually focusing on the tech sector and bringing them to Shibuya. So as I'm talking about youth, I'm sure many of you are asking yourselves, why is this girl saying youth, youth, youth? So here's a question to all of you. What percentage of global population do you think is 0 to 19 years old? So 10%. 20%? Okay, we're seeing some hands. 30? Okay, 40, 50, 60. Yeah, there's no way. That's good to know. So the answer is actually, ta-da, 40%. Yeah, so that actually means that we have this age range that we can really utilize to fasten the pace of decarbonization, 40% of the global population. Whilst in Japan, we have a really small youth percentile. Well, if you look at the global market, we can do so much more. So that's why we're discussing about youth, because we are the next generation of change makers, but also we are the ones who will be impacted the most by climate change. So without a dialogue with youth, you cannot move forward. And as you may know, we've been having a lot of difficulties when it comes to a change in seasons. Some of you are visiting from outside of Japan, but you may have noticed that it's awfully hot. It's over 20 degrees today. It feels like summer. I don't know about you, but I was sweating as I was coming here. So even for Japan, our seasons are changing from 4 to 2 seasons. And that is a drastic change. And what if we go onwards as business as usual? It's said that by 2100, we are not able to eat sushi. I mean, we're here at Sushi Tech and there's no sushi. I don't think we can go on for too long with this conversation then. So we see that there is a rapid transition, and as Japan, we really need to change as well. But the difficulty is the fact that currently in the green jobs market, we're seeing that there is a 12.3% increase in share of green talent in the workforce. But in reality, the people who have these green skills, there's only 1 out of 8 people who have these skill sets. So we see that there is a need, massive need for green skilled individuals, yet we don't have these talents. So how do we make sure that we raise enough talented individuals who understand climate change as well as nature positivity that go into the workforce? Lastly, I'm just going to briefly introduce some of the actions that we've already done. In terms of greening education, we put together climate programs for kids from elementary to high school. So we actually go into schools and teach them, but also provide toolkits for teachers to utilize. We also put together environmental related awards called Sasankitsu Award. And we also do the green job advocacy. So we invite over a lot of CSOs as well as sustainability leads from corporations to have talks. We've had Toyota, Hitachi, IKEA, Kyoto University, as well as all the main big companies that go to COP, which is a climate conference that happens every year held by the UN. And in terms of urban community design, we collaborate with the public sphere organizers of Shibuya Ward, which is called Shibuya Fan Plus. And we work with them to engage with the public using art as well as digital signages to put together more information about the climate in Shibuya. So we've had an installation last year where we collect the fish nets out from the sea because over 50% of the global ocean pollution is actually fish nets. So we collect these and then they turn it into textiles and use that textile to create art and other pieces that we showcase in Shibuya. So last year we made the 4x4 meter art installation, which is a plankton, and put together right below Shibuya Station, which worked out pretty well. So we're going to do a second series end of this year in September. So we'd love to see everyone join in for the collaboration for the art as well. And finally, we put together some business meetups called Carbon Neutral Urban Design. This is specifically targeted towards startups who are located in Tokyo that want to use Shibuya as a pilot location to work on decarbonization. So we bring together a lot of different companies that are just also starting in Japan. We have Joikuru, Gabu, Kaman-san, Ecomet, Legitimate, and we also have bigger corporations as well that want to try out their decarbonization strategies in Shibuya. So we're trying to increase the network of urban sphere individuals who are working in decarbonization for Tokyo as well. So we'd love to see all of you join in for our pitch sometime maybe in the future, because Koichi-san already pitched, so I'm looking for other participants who would like to join our network as well. So it's really excited to be here, and I'm loving to have a panel after this to discuss how we can really change or close the gap for decarbonization and mobility in Tokyo as well. So thank you so much, and I'm gonna pass on the baton to Terry. I think the slide will change now.
It'll come up, right?
I see we have a technical. Oh, perfect.
There you go.
Perfect.
Over there.
It's even got our Sakura version of our graphic as well. Awesome. Okay, hi again, everybody. This is Terry from Lime. I'm really glad to be here talking about urban developments and sustainability with everybody. By way of introduction, I'm actually Taiwanese by blood, but I lived in Australia for a long time. I've been now in Japan for about 23 years. So Lime. So just a quick show of hands, who has actually ridden a Lime before in Japan?
Yay.
Okay, who has ridden a Lime outside Japan? Thank you. Got a couple of hands here and there. All right, so Lime is all about building the future of transportation that is shared, affordable, and carbon-free. In fact, this has been the mission that we've had since day one of our business back in 2017. As you can see, this walk down the memory lane, we've been developing the modes of transportation, thinking about how to reduce the CO2 emissions from day one. Right, we really started very small as a pedal bike business in San Francisco with 125 bikes. And over the years, we've been investing quite heavily and made some intentional investments to take in the hardware engineering and hardware developments into our in-house teams. And as you can see on the top pictures on our e-bikes, we've started bringing out new version of our e-bikes with our people, the see on the top picture there, our engineers, how they work, developed using the data we've gained from users to create even safer rides and safer vehicles for our users globally. And at the same time too, instead of just doing the e-bikes, we also have spent some money as well to invest into scooter business. As you can see on the bottom line, we really started back in 2018 with a thing called Lime S. As you can see, the wheels is the size of a donut. Very, very small.
That's cute.
But again, I think we start getting more data from the users, and we start seeing more ways to actually make our vehicle more sturdy, safer, and more steady as well. And now we are now in the fourth generation of our vehicles. Even now with the seat on the scooters, makes it a lot more stable to ride around town. So since 2017, starting in San Francisco, we now have about 270,000 vehicles, globally speaking, and we are now operating across 5 different continents in about 30 countries. We are still in a bit of an expansion mode, but not as aggressive as we did before. But very luckily, our users are embracing our service. And last year alone, we've seen actually a humongous amount of rides happened. And to put it into perspective, we saw 6 rides per second in 2024. And that's how many rides has been taken. And this all is not just about rides to me. I think it's more about the trust that people are investing in you to get them from A to B, to go to work, to go to school. And I think that in itself, it means a lot to us. And we want to make sure that we can really satisfy the trust that's being invested in us in our future developments of the technology we have. And right now, these are the main three versions of our vehicles today. And right now here in Tokyo, in Japan, we are developing the two scooters. One in the center is a seated scooter, and the one on the left is standing scooters. But very soon, the majority of our fleet in Tokyo will be more focused on the center version, which is the seated version. The reason is very simple. We're getting so much feedback for a lot of our customers saying that this is a lot more comfortable, a lot safer, and most importantly, we've got this thing at the back.
I would like to use that too. I was always wondering, why is there no basket? I always have to carry a backpack with me when I get on the scooter.
And for people that's going between different business meetings during the weekdays, I think it's perfect for their little briefcase there as well. For housewives and house husbands, I think it's also great for the use of grocery shopping purposes with the grocery shopping bags in there as well. So little things like that are all feedback we get from our customers. We're taking into discussion with our internal hardware team and in turn turn it into actual products in a very quick way. And one last thing with the products here on the hardware side is that on the right-hand side, we do have e-bikes as well. In fact, in one of our biggest markets in London and Paris, this is actually the main version of our modes we provide out there in the market. Unfortunately, this size is great for European markets, American markets, but not for Asia and not for Japanese people. It's a little bit too big.
I see.
A little bit heavier as well. So we are actually in the process of developing something that's more friendly for Japanese users, especially for Japanese male, female both, who are a little bit smaller compared to the Europeans. So I think that's coming soon. More news around that in the future. So I think I quickly talked about the hardware in terms of the advantages we have in terms of really owning our hardware that's proprietary to us. We also have a global set of experiences operating over 30 countries now. We're taking that on a periodic basis to really develop our new set of products in the future. And actually, very, very important thing here is that we only have just one app. And that one app basically is that if you download it, let's say in Germany or in France, you can actually take it in Japan and immediately start using it, right? It's similar to Uber, basically, right? But one thing that's also quite critical to call out here is that because all the traffic laws and traffic rules is different by cities, by countries. So when you come to Japan, for example, using a Line map, we actually ask you courteously to do a safety quiz. And that safety quiz is designed together with the National Police Agency, where we actually work in conjunction to make sure that we can have some of the not so obvious traffic laws being pointed out so that people don't get into troubles, get into accidents, right? A little bit more on the software side of things. So we also implemented a couple of key safety-oriented features in Japan. So geofencing on the far left, not really a new technology, if we can all agree, right? Something quite common, we've been hearing it quite a bit already, but it's actually perfect for Japan right now because we're seeing lately some news of scooters or dento kikubo that are running into the capital highway, right? And some are actually ridden in there by mistake, some might have malicious intent, we don't know. But instead of just leaving the action in the hands of the users, because we want to make sure we can create a very safe riding environment. We're actually implementing this again together with Tokyo Metropolitan Police to actually shut down the ramp by providing those geofencing, basically just marking it red. So what happens there is that once you get in there now, you actually will have your motor and your vehicles cut off, but you will not stop. You will just gradually reduce speed.
The pedals get heavier and heavier.
Yeah, it gets heavier enough. You know, something is wrong. I better turn back.
It's telling you to keep your muscles intact.
That's right. That's right. So those was the first thing we start doing, and we've got about 10 locations in Tokyo. Some in Ikebukuro, some in Shibuya, some in Shibakoen. That's already been implemented, and more is coming. Right.
I see.
Another thing is helmet selfie. So we know that today, by the traffic law in Japan, wearing a helmet for bicycle riding or micromobility riding is not mandatory, but it's encouraged. So we actually wanted to take that a step further and say, you know what, we really think that it would be a good idea to wear helmets as we use our products and bicycles in general, because we know based on data, over 70% of the traffic accidents is actually caused lethally because of the head injuries. So we're actually encouraged by providing a 10% discount. Before you start your ride, you should use your iPhone and take a picture of yourself wearing a helmet. Then automatically our AI engine behind the scene will actually assess that within 10 seconds, whether or not you're actually wearing a helmet. If you do, we'll actually automatically deduct 10% of your fees upfront.
That sounds like a pretty good incentivization.
Yeah. Slow zone. We also know that some local areas in Japan, in Tokyo especially, some residents are a little bit allergic to fast riding or fast driving.
Right.
So again, instead of just leaving it to the liberty of our users, we actually are going to provide a geofencing again to make sure we can slow the vehicles down to a certain speed that we actually agree with the local residents so that we can avoid issues from happening.
Right.
Yeah. And lastly, our product is also available on Uber as well. Yeah, I'm gonna speed up because I think my time's running out. But so in every single country, every single city we go to, we make sure that we are focusing on solving social problems and not just going out there and monetize. And we've been doing the same thing over a couple of hundred cities now. And these are the 6 common social issues we see overlapping across different countries. Right. In the case of Japan, not surprising, I think over-tourism, as we see today, is a big problem. Last year alone, we saw almost 37 million inbound tourists coming to Japan.
Right.
And just imagine the capacity for the buses and trains with the suitcases and everything. It's very concerning. So for us to make sure that we can provide our services in the areas that actually requires it is quite important. And obviously, we do it in a way that to really solve the last mile, connection issues, and of course to reduce CO2 in doing that. And just a couple of pointers here. We do know, based on our research as well, our users today are mostly using Lime, and also in Japan as well, to commute, to go out dining, and to do work visits in between offices, and also obviously for tourism usages as well. One of the last few slides here for me. Also really proud to mention that we've been working, partnering with Kansai Osaka Expo. I think a couple of weeks ago, we started the expo. We started offering about 200 vehicles in the expo here for the employee and the staff members in the Umeshima to be getting around from A to B. How many people have actually been to the expo already? Great. Okay, a couple of folks here and there. We all know the size of the island. It's humongous. So it's really tiring for the staff members having to walk over from A to B. So I think we've been getting good receptions for our seated scooters you see on the pictures on the left. And also to make sure that we can truly be sustainable in the provision of the vehicles. Instead of having people going in there to swap out the batteries, because we know it's EV, the battery needs to be swapped out quite regularly. Right. We actually provide our own proprietary charging stations whereby people can go up there, change out the batteries within less than a minute, very quickly. And in doing that, all the trucking, all the kind of transportation of the batteries can be avoided entirely. So that's happening today. And yeah, and for us to really grow our business, really be true to our mission, obviously we cannot do everything by ourselves. So we are aggressively working with the different facets of the industries out there. For example, in hotel, the tourism industry, parking operators, railway, with municipalities, including Tokyo Metropolitan Government as well, with universities, leisure facilities, retail, and real estates. So if anybody in the audience that's also in the industry as well, if you want to join our mission, please find me on LinkedIn. Let's have a chat. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Harry. It's really exciting to hear that you have the charging spots available at the expo. I'm actually going in September, so I'm already going to download Lime again.
Please, yeah.
So I need to utilize it because I was just wondering how I'm going to carry everything around, and it's just a hassle. But it's really nice to hear that you guys do try to listen as much as possible to the local voices and make sure that your vehicle is so localized. I'm surprised what happens actually in the back end, because there's so much customization that you have to do regionally, yet you're willing to put in that effort. So I think that's how you guys gained a lot of trust overall in the years. But yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. And I think we want to move on to Koichi-san.
All right. So my name is Koichi from Persefoni. I'm a country manager for Japan office. And thanks to Mana-san for opening up and also the providing the educational contents through the urban cities and also local community. And also, thanks Terry for providing the kind of micromobility kind of transformation utility for the people. So now you see all the carbon offset or sustainability in this, in this venue. But in order to take the action, you need to start measuring the carbon footprint first. So Persefoni is the carbon counting SaaS platform started in the US. So before diving into detail, I'd like to talk about our company. So Persefoni is a SaaS platform company started in the US. Our global CEO, Kentaro Kawamori, he was actually born and also raised in Japan in an early stage. And he was the youngest chief digital officer at the Fortune 500 energy company called Chesapeake Energy. So we founded this company in January 2020. We opened up our Japan office in 2022. We work closely with a global partner, starting with the Bain company, SMBC, NLs, as well as SIR companies such as IBM, Hitachi, SCSK. And also we really closely work with frameworks called the PCAF. It's a financial carbon counting protocol, especially for the financial institutions. And also we work closely with the CDP as well as third-party assurance called Sokotech. So what's unique about Persefoni is we have pre-equipped global emission factors covering 150 countries. So emission factors is a data set. You can actually start calculating and also start your carbon counting from today. So unless you have this right emission factors, you cannot track and also measure carbon footprints at your corporations. And also, depending on the data you have to change the calculation methodologies. So we have different variety of a calculation methodology, over 120 kinds. So with all that, we need a platform to calculate all these numbers.
Of course.
So Persefoni is the climate management SaaS platform. We can provide full visibility into the data by calculating all the activity. And also you can utilize global emission factors covering 150 plus countries. And also you can customize the setup depending on your country's company's structures. So you can customize organizational layers, locations, anything like that. And also you can actually export to those kind of reports such as CDP or Japanese unique security reports or any kind of ESG reports. So before going to the technology, you have to know what's happening right now. I think Mana-san has already touched on what's happening in the global, but we see this climate change as a financial crisis. So when it comes down to the actual number of GHG emissions, the actually 2.2x increase in GHG emissions we're seeing right now, based on the GHG emissions generated in 2020 compared to the 1970. So 2x. And also it's been leading to the global warming, which is plus 1.45 Celsius degrees.
Right.
This is basically the global average temperature increase compared to pre-industrial times. So when it comes to economic impact, I think people doesn't feel the economic impact is happening in a daily basis, but if we calculate, it's about 250 trillion, not the billion, trillion yen
Trillion.
impact
Oh my
because of the caused by natural disaster. You saw the slide talking about cherry blossom is blooming, started blooming faster, and also all the flood is happening. That's the main causes of natural disaster. So I think Japan and also governments and also the local agencies are really serious about GHG reduction right now. So most recently, in the year of 2025, this year, Sustainability Standard Board of Japan, they just fixed the guidance to put it into force for the regulations. We call it SSBJ. They finally fixed the guidance mandating disclosure starting from 2027. But this is only eligible for Japan-listed company of capex beyond 3 trillion or 1 trillion yen companies, which is total roughly 300 companies. So it's very limited. And also carbon tax, it's going to be happening later 2028, and also third-party assurance will be mandatory as well. So in order to do that, we have to calculate scope 1, scope 2 for your own company's emission, as well as scope 3 for your supply chain emissions. What's hard about this GHG emission tracking is scope 3. Because scope 3 is categorizing into 15 categories. I'm not going to go into all the details, but starting with the scope 3, category 1, it's actually categorized as purchased goods and services. So anything your corporate buys or procure, any service or products, you have to calculate for the carbon footprint. And also down to the category 15, this is the most toughest part for the financial institutions. It's called the finance emissions. By making investment or loaning, those kind of investing activities, it actually supports GHG emissions generations indirectly. So you have to track, measure those emissions as well. So with these 15 categories, it's almost impossible to calculate by yourself. So in general, across the sectors and industry, scope 3, those 15 categories is the vast majority, except for transportation, paper, or electricity utilities, those vendors. I think majority of the companies are generating and also creating scope 3 emissions. So what's funny about Japan market and also what's unique about Japan market is 99% is small and medium companies.
Right.
So as I said earlier, Japan government and also SSBJ is mandating to disclose the GHG emission data from 2027, but reality in Japan is SMEs. So in order to support SMEs, we actually created new technology as a free service called the Persefoni Pro. Persefoni Pro is a perfect GX solution to start carbon accounting from today. And also, even for the big corporations, you can actually use this solution for your suppliers and also and your partners as well. You can use this as a part of supply chain engagement. What you can do with this Persefoni Pro is you can measure scope 1, 2, of course, and also scope 3 as well. And also you can start calculating emissions with just annualized data. So you don't have to use weekly or monthly data. You can start with monthly data, yearly data. And also, once you calculate, you need to report. So you can actually report and also use this data to CDP or California's local regulations called the CA 253 or CSRD in Europe, and also even the SEC. So this is the free solution and also equipped with the AI. So you can do with the self-service and also Persefoni Pro actually help with the AI for knowledge bases as well. This solution is no app install needed and also free. So actually, I wanted to show the video today, but we cannot run the video today. So you can actually look up on the YouTube,
Right.
strengthening numbers. This is one of our clients called At Home, US-based furniture retailer based in the US. So you can look it up and watch a 2 minutes video utilizing our platform. So but last not by least, so you can start your carbon accounting from today with this free solution, Persefoni Pro. You can actually use your mobile phone or smartphone to sign up from this QR code for your Persefoni Pro. So yes, please enjoy your carbon accounting journey from today. So that's about it from my end. So back to you, Mano-san.
Thank you so much, Koichi-san. Thank you, thank you. It's so interesting to know that you guys started the SMEs and provided the Persefoni Pro for free to SMEs. And what was kind of the thought around it? I'm really curious about that.
So we originally started with the local regional bank. We saw Kiraboshi Bank today in the booth as well. So 99% of the local banks' investments is going to small and medium businesses.
Interesting.
And one of the business owner was saying that, I know we can use an Excel spreadsheet, but is there any technology we can start the carbon accounting easily with the support? So local agency and also local bank cannot support one by one. So that's why we started providing this Persefoni Pro for small and medium business as well as local agencies as well.
That's really great to hear because I think we also have a lot of discussions with corporations. And the number one discussion we always have is, of course, the large companies have the mandating system already, they have the certifications, so they already have to do it. But it's always the supply chain managers who are from different companies that are not part of the decarbonization route yet. And the difficulty is the large corporations don't necessarily want to take also the risk to provide the carbon accounting. So I feel like Persefoni Pro does really help out with the SMEs to do the start, but also maybe there is a collaboration amongst the banking systems as well as corporations that can support the SMEs to have a better transition.
Exactly.
So yeah, I was at COP 2 years ago and they had a really large discussion about SME transition. And I was really curious when I came back to Japan, where is all this talk? Because as you said, 99% of our companies here are SMEs, yet that dialogue is so small in the current sector. So I feel like the start off from your toolkit will expand to other places that we can really utilize. And maybe there is a cross-discipline, but also collaboration with, of course, Lime and other corporations that can support SMEs and do the better transition and have that technology as a way of decarbonizing their own work as well. So it's really great to hear your work.
Thank you.
Awesome. So we have very minimal amount of time left, 6 minutes. So I do want to ask the two of you, where are we headed? Because obviously we need to do the carbon accounting, increase the amount of people who get online, me as well, perhaps. But what kind of city should we model after? And how can we close the gap between those best model cities and Tokyo, where we are right now? So how do we close that gap? And I was wondering if, Terry, you can start off with that.
Sure. Yeah, I think, Tokyo is a beautiful city. I think there's no other places like it. So I think let's just be clear about that. But I think because of how much of the weight that it has right now in terms of the traffic, in terms of the amount of cars that's available today, I think what we are facing right now as an issue is that the amount of traffic congestion is getting to the point that's actually having some economic impact.
Right.
And that's quite significant. And whenever I look at that, and I look at some of my other markets, I also feel like, there's probably more that we can do to make sure that we can create more space for mobility alternative mobility like ours.
Yes.
You know, it could be bicycle, it could be other mobility like scooters. But whenever I go to Europe to make a business trip over there, I always look at a place like London, where we're actually doing pretty well over there, to see how well they're actually minimizing the number of cars that's being used in the CBD area.
Yes.
In fact, we were looking at some data points the other day. About 60% of the global car uses are actually less than 6 miles in total distance. And that's actually perfect to leverage mobility, micro-mobility in general. And what makes London great is because their bike lane infrastructure is being made so well. And in fact, I think 2024, Transportation for London actually just announced that they will invest additional 87 million pounds to make their bike lane even more accessible to everybody, right? So we at Lime, we provide great and safe mobility solutions, but we don't make roads.
So there is a collaboration with the government side you need to always follow up with.
That's right.
I see.
So whenever I go to Minato-ku, for example, or go to Bunkyo-ku, for example, I see they have dedicated lanes for bikes, which is amazing. And it really makes my heart sing. But when I go to where I live, in Meguro-ku or Setagaya-ku, it's a little challenging, to be honest.
It's so narrow that you have to ask yourself, is this a bike lane? Or maybe it's just a pedestrian road.
So I think that there's a lot of learnings I would say that Tokyo as a city can maybe take in from other European cities of the same level, like London, Paris, for example. But not necessarily to remove its own culture, remove its own kind of behaviors in general, but to make it greener. And to make it more accessible for everybody. I think is what we believe in Lime, that we can contribute and help to work with the local cities like Tokyo.
Right, that's true. Yeah, perhaps maybe Tokyo could have more of the green lanes where you increase the amount of trees as well as nature positivity within the cities. But it can also be a mobility route where it's specified for scooters as well as bus lanes, because that would travel more people rather than have like an individual vehicle. But I feel like we're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
But maybe it is a discussion to push forward with the government to utilize that as a mode of increasing the amount of individuals that actually contribute to decarbonizing their own lifestyle. And I feel like there is a collaboration with the government and also SMEs that you can really provide. But what do you think in terms of the gap now? What are some of the biggest things that you feel like needs to be addressed for Japan to become fully decarbonized?
Sure. I think, the Lime is helping the micro-mobility, which is the eco-friendly and also like environmental friendly. I think people, especially in the young generations, they maybe use the service for the convenience perspective first. At the same time, they realize this is helping for environmental friendly aspect as well.
Yes.
If you look at taking a train or taking the taxi, it's much, much lower carbon footprint. So that's just a result. But if you start measuring the data with utilizing such as our technology, I think you'll be cautious. I think we spending so much carbons and also generating carbons in transportation or spending for procurement, it's what so on. So I think I really address and also suggest measuring how much you are generating your GHG, your corporation or groups or company. And also when I was surprised in Europe, just like the UK, when I was in Finland, when I picked up the sandwich showed the carbon footprint.
Yes, that
just
is
like
true.
The calories in the 7-Eleven in Japan. So I think that's a difference of the literacy and also the kind of cautious, how much people are cautious about how much impact we are giving to the environment. So in order to quantify the impact, start measuring. So I really suggest start measuring with our free technology and also get on the line and also get the content of the educational contents for the sustainability from Switch
Thank you.
I think that's I think the things I really want to address.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Terry, do you have any last words in order to really fasten the change behavior-wise for Scope 3 in Tokyo? What are some of the biggest things that you want to address just to end the conversation?
No, I think 2 words, I think, if it comes to my
Yeah.
mind right now, ride green. Very simple.
2 best things that are put together in that case.
Yep, ride green.
But also, thank you so much, you two, for the lovely conversation. And of course, we really want to see everyone, as a speaker mentioned, that we first need to measure to understand what is our own impact, but understand that this is not happening at a corporate level only, but it's also coming from the individual level. Because I think a lot of times we forget that we individuals can make a bigger impact, but we forget to work on it sometimes. So start measuring. Try to start where you can, and also make sure that you share that information and try to harness or empower the other people around you to make that change together, because obviously we can't meet the 1.5 degrees alone itself. But yeah, no, thank you so much, everyone, and thank you to the audience for joining, and I hope we can have a discussion later on as well. All right, we're closing then. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to our panelists and our moderator. それでは拍手でお送りしたいと思います。ご起立をいただきましょう。Let's send them with a big round of applause. Thank you.